welcome to the Cricket Podcast. I'm Jack, that's Max, and we're here with our partner Johnno from Woodstock Cricket. Today we're going to be talking about myths, cricket bat myths. We've got a list of questions we're going to be asking Johnno. He's going to be telling us what the real answer is to some of the things that are perceived wisdom in the cricketing community. Before we get into that though, just a quick reminder that you should like and subscribe to our content on YouTube. We've got a load of stuff coming up following all the international cricket, the IPL, and some more conversations with Johnno over the summer. First myth then, boys, and I think this is the big one. Not just in cricket, but in life. Johnno, is bigger better?
I think it used to be. I think that my wife would say probably still is, in fairness. She just hasn't experienced it for a while. But I think in the cricket bat circles, I mean, everybody used to love £3 bats, whether they were someone who works out loads or someone who works in an office. And there's a huge dearth of misconceptions around the cricket market, and that's something that obviously we'll talk about later as we try and educate the market on how to improve those bits and pieces.
So you say everyone used to like a £3 bat. Is that not what you should be going for now? Or should we be going back down to like 2.7 or up? I mean, we have a friend who batted with something like a 3.12 bat.
Jesus
it was absolutely humongous.
Yeah. He's not behind the camera today, is he? No, I mean, look, it has to be a really personal experience. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It has to be. We built a business selling bats online, but now the whole model that we're going to is bringing people to the showroom, getting people to pick up a numerous amount of bats to find the one that's perfect for them. So and dispel that myth that just because you've had a 2.7 bat before from a different manufacturer, it might be a completely different weight that you will actually need. It's based on feel rather than the dead weight of a cricket bat.
Great answer.
Right, so we've established that bigger is not necessarily better. Another common thing with life, is it also true with cricket bats? Is more expensive better?
Absolutely not. Certainly not in our case. You boys, I know, are aware we've had an amazing result in the gear test a couple of weeks back. Compared to our competitor set, we charge at some points 50% for our top end bats that some of the bigger brands do, and we're proven to be better quality. So I would say absolutely not. Do your research.
Great. That's the second one busted.
Myth number 3 then. When you go to buy a cricket bat, people always tell you to look out for the grain. Now, I know the grain is the thing, the lines going up and down, but that genuinely is it. Do either of you two know what I'm supposed to be looking for when I buy a cricket bat?
Well, what I've heard in the past from looking at cricket bats is that maybe you don't want too few grains, but you don't want too many grains, and that they should be reasonably straight. But I don't know necessarily why that is or whether that's a good thing. But Johnno, does any of that ring true with you?
Yeah, I mean, look, they say anything from 7, 8 to 12, you'd say is probably grade 1. Generally, look, grains don't automatically make a great cricket bat. We need to dispel that myth straight away. A lot of pros in white ball cricket now will use things between 5 and 7 grains because it's a slightly harder wood, so they can plonk it out, obviously try and clear the ropes, whereas they'll use a softer bat, which generally would have more grains for red ball cricket. However, number of grains doesn't equal quality of cricket bat. I've got a bat in the office that I often show to people with 20 plus grains that if you used it in the nets for 10 minutes would probably shatter because it's made of cashmere willow. And so, again, it is a very common thing that we hear in the cricket market. You get asked for grains left, right and centre, so I need 15 grains and this, that and the other. And it's just something that's obviously been allowed to grow and grow and grow as a rumour. But yeah, grains do not make a cricket bat.
So the second question I've got on this, and this is something I've noticed visually. On the bottom here, you've got a white colour, and at the top, it's a slightly reddish wood. Why is that? And is that something that I should be paying attention to when I buy a cricket bat?
If it's for aesthetic reasons, yes. In terms of performance, no. It's slightly harder. Someone said to me the other day they wouldn't have redwood on the outside edge because they fear it might carry to slip. more so than if it was with hit the whiter wood. Absolute codswallop. To be quite frank, it's just not going to make a blind bit of difference. Get in the nets, get better, don't nick it in the first place. But yeah, again, it's another one of these things that just over time has manifested itself in the minds of badgers everywhere. And so it's a thing, but some people like it because they like the look of it or whatever. But a quality cricket bat is a quality cricket bat, regardless. It could be blue. If it's been well made and well put together, that's how you'll get the quality. It's not based on the colour of it or the amount of grains, to be quite honest.
Blue's my favourite colour. I quite like a blue bat.
Yeah.
Do you do any of those?
Got some blue stickers.
That's close enough.
Right, I think that's that myth busted.
Yeah, so I think we can safely say not a grain of truth in that one.
Lovely.
Okay, so we've done the steps around actually buying a cricket bat, but once you've got through that milestone and actually acquired one, the next thing you need to do is look after it. So I've heard a few things about what you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to oil it every close season, and where not to keep it. Don't leave it in the back of your car. Don't leave it in the garage. That kind of thing. So what's the truth behind that?
Most of that is probably quite right. These whole things about I used to play junior cricket with a lad whose bat basically ended up looking like Donald Trump because his dad just oiled it every 5 minutes. And it was just but ridiculous. I mean, look, you should probably get your bat refurbished every winter. Send it back to the manufacturer. It's probably going to cost you somewhere between 40 and 50 quid. But it basically comes back looking brand new. They will oil it. It only needs to be done once a year. Don't leave it on a radiator over the winter. Don't leave it somewhere crazily cold like the garage or whatever. Just leave it in an ambient temperatured room, bedroom or whatever. Lisa, my wife, would never let me do that. But mine just lives in my bag under the stairs, somewhere where it's not going to get too warm a temperature, too cold a temperature. If you dry your bat out, it's just going to snap. But yeah, and equally, it'll affect the fibres of the wood if it's too cold as well. So just nice ambient temperature.
So oil it once a year, basically. Send it back to the manufacturer for a refurb. Just a question: what happens in a refurb?
It'll be de-stickered. It'll then be sanded down to get it to as our new ones over there would look back to basics, if you like. Oiled, re-stickered, new face sheet should you want it, new toe guard, etc. So effectively, when you get them back, they come back looking brand new.
Perfect.
Great. So one that's actually true. And I suppose sanding is probably a good idea for maybe someone like me, where the cherries tend to be around the edge of the bat rather than the middle.
They reckon nail varnish remover
is
perfect, yeah. So I've known a lot of people, the nail varnish remover, the ones off the edges, and just leave them in the middle. So, you go out and for 5 balls that you're there, people think you must be a good player because there's only marks on the but then you lose your middle pole and then they very quickly realise that you shit.
So that's a myth busted and a hot tip.
Absolutely.
And a potential new sledge.
Yeah.
So the fifth and final myth that I want to ask you about, Johnno, is it true that pros don't knock in their cricket bat?
Absolutely. Well, the pros might not, because they might get some of the academy players to do it for them. Much like, football pros used to get the academy players to clean their boots and whatever. But yeah, they will still knock in their bats. It's slightly different for pros. Obviously, pros get furnished with free gear, so they feel a little less, maybe I'm doing some of ours a disservice, but pros break bats because they're doing range hitting sessions and whatever, and they're literally trying to hit it in over miles. But we know that risk when we take our pros on and whatever. And we actually furnish them with some lower grade bats with which to net and go about these things, so we don't put ourselves in such a position to worry about that. But everybody should absolutely knock in their bats. It's imperative.
And how would one go about knocking in a bat?
Old ball. I say to any of our clients, get an old ball, round off the edges. You don't want sharp edges. If you're going to use a hard ball on a brand new bat with sharp edges, if you do catch an edge, it can cause damage. But the face, the middle of the bat, you probably don't need to do too much work on in terms of knocking it in. But the toe and all the way up the rest of the face, if it's not had enough work before being used against a hard ball, you'll start to find seam marks in it, which means it's not had enough work.
Yep, done that.
But yeah, look, it depends on the grade of willow. The harder bats will take longer to play in to a point where you're happy with them, but they will need less knocking in. Softer bats need a little bit more care and attention because obviously they're more liable to breakage in their early part of their life.
I was really hoping that you'd say that pros didn't knock in their bats, so I wouldn't have to knock in my next one and wind up all my neighbours. But I guess coming up to the season now, that they're in for a long week or two.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that out. Cheers, John. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for busting some myths for us. Just a reminder to like and subscribe to the Cricket Podcast. We'll have a series of other videos with you, Johnno, and we're really looking forward to working with you through the rest of 2021.
Very much the same. Thanks for coming, gents.
Thank you very much.